Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome back to the show. Now, I wanted to lighten things up a little bit today before we head into CES territory next week, and maybe rock out a little bit and get our friends back on the show from Reverb. Now, since launching in 2013, Reverb.com has grown into the world's most popular music gear website, connecting millions of people from all over the world. Now, regular listeners will know that I've spoken to the CEO and founder David Kalt on the show before about their phenomenal 10 million monthly visitors and nearly $400 million in sales in 2017 alone. But today I invited the Chief Operating Officer at Reverb, Dan Melnick, onto the show to find out more about the role that tech continues to play in their success. But I must warn you, you've got to wrap up warm before you listen to today's episode, because Chicago is minus 16 at the moment. So as long as you've got your coat, hat and gloves and you're ready to go, it's time for me to ask you to buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to Chicago so we can speak with Dan Melnick from Reverb.com. So a massive warm welcome to the show, Dan. Can you just tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name's Dan Melnick. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Reverb.com and President of Reverb LP. My background's as a software developer, and these days I spend most of my time on Reverb LP, our new product, making sure that we're building the right features, providing great support, ensuring our marketing is vibrant and portraying the brand and the product the way we want to, and buying a lot of records and music gear myself.
Fantastic. Now, we have had Reverb's founder, David Kalt, on the podcast a few times now, but for folks who might not have heard those episodes or just need a little refresher, can you just give a brief overview of exactly what Reverb.com is?
Sure. Reverb's an online marketplace for buying and selling music gear and now records as well, ranging from guitars and banjos and keyboards, DJ gear, band and orchestra gear, music software, digital downloads. We launched in 2013, so this month is actually our official 5-year anniversary, and since then we've grown into the most popular music gear website in the world. On the site, you'll find everything from brick-and-mortar shops, brands, manufacturers selling direct to consumer, boutique handcrafted gear, collectors like myself who are just selling out of their collection and buying and selling gear, rock stars. We just had Billie Joe Armstrong from Green Day do a shop. We've got beginner musicians, everything in between. So it's for all stripes of musicians and music gear. And we're the only online marketplace that was built for musicians by musicians. And we come to work every day ready to make the site the best place to buy music gear, and looking forward to doing the same for records.
So you're coming up to your 5th anniversary. Are there any big wild celebrations? Jack Daniels everywhere, just to fuel that rock and roll cliche?
We just had our big holiday party in December, which we kind of use as an unofficial anniversary, and that's always a lot of fun. We ran out a big music venue, and everyone gets up, makes bands, and gets up and plays songs. So we're coming off our big celebration.
Awesome. Now, in just a short amount of time, Reverb has grown into the most popular website in the world for buying and selling music gear. And as a leader of the company's tech team, you've played a large role in that. So from a tech perspective, why is Reverb different from the competition and the other sites out there?
Sure. I mean, I think the first thing is focus. You know, the team's made up of musicians, and from a product perspective, as a result, we're really all about dogfooding the product, using it ourselves, making sure that when we're buying and selling, it's fun and easy. And I think that impacts the way we build the technology and the way we see the technology as solving our own problems. And then from a personalization and machine learning perspective, that's pretty much ubiquitous on the internet these days. You can go buy out-of-the-box personalization stuff. We've done it all in-house, but we also strongly believe that it can't be purely algorithmic. We need a human touch. So there's always a human element of curation and making sure that we're not just relying on the same algorithms everyone else are using. We're adding our personal expertise to the way things are displayed and recommended.
Now, I understand that your role has changed with the recent beta launch of Reverb LP, a new marketplace for buying and selling records online. But I've got to ask, why is the world's most popular music gear website now getting into physical music too?
Sure. I mean, records and physical music continue to grow in popularity again, right, after sort of falling out of favor. I think people still have an emotional and connection to those physical objects as music collectors, and we believe that we're the best people to provide the type of service to the industry that we've seen the way musicians have reacted to what we've done in the music instrument space. So we're all music collectors internally too. This is just like the Reverb product. We're scratching our own itch here, so this is not a case where we went and did some market research and decided to target some unknown audience. Most musicians are music collectors these days, especially sort of, amateur musicians. Most touring musicians I know go to record stores everywhere they go as they travel around the country. A lot of them DJ as well, and to make a little extra bread when they're off tour. So we think that our core audience on Reverb will immediately benefit from Reverb LP. We think that they'll sort of cross over and buy and sell on that platform. But we also wanted to extend the Reverb brand, right? Like, I, speaking for myself, I have plenty of friends and family who love the idea of Reverb. They'll even wear a Reverb t-shirt, but they're not musicians. That next tier out, who are passionate music fans, they buy concert tickets, they buy physical music. They didn't really have any way to interact with our brand, and now we're giving them that. We're giving them a way to be a part of our community and interact with what we're doing. We also think that there's an opportunity there from a tech and product perspective. There's other places around, but we still think that just like with Reverb, if you really focus on this market and build a product that's suited to what they want to do, instead of a broader all-purpose platform like Amazon or eBay, that we can provide a better experience. So we're going to be leveraging that core platform we've already built, that core marketplace platform, and extending it to customize for this audience.
So are you a record collector as well, and do you have any favorite album covers of all time?
Sure, yeah, I'm a record collector. I've been collecting records, CDs, physical media for 20 plus years. Yeah. And favorite album covers, that's a good one. I love artwork on albums. I think that's part of why that physical medium appeals, especially the bigger 12-inch records, right? When you hold it, it's a beautiful object. I certainly love all of Reed Miles' work with Blue Note. I think those are all sort of iconic covers and iconic typography. I love Supreme, which is one of my favorite albums. I really love the cover of that record. I really love all of the Tropicalia from Brazil, all of those sort of psychedelic records that came out in the 60s. I think those covers are some of the best covers around. Caetano Veloso or Gal Costa or stuff like that. So too many favorites to probably cover in this call, unless you want to give me another hour.
I must admit it was a dangerous question to ask. I thought you were going to be here forever talking King Crimson, The Who, The Stones.
Oh, King Crimson, that's a good one. Yeah. In the Court of King Crimson, that's a classic cover, right?
Yeah, man. There's another angle for you to go at there, because I think there's a real market for having framed album covers, because they were works of art, weren't they?
Absolutely.
So when Reverb.com launched, it was in response to the pain the founder felt when buying and selling guitars on eBay and other online platforms. So what are the current pain points for record stores, collectors and music fans who are actually buying and selling records online? And the question I've got to ask as well is how will Reverb LP actually be different from those? Sure.
One pain point which Reverb solved, which we're going to do the same thing on Reverb LP, is high fees. So, eBay's at 10%, Amazon's at 14%, other competitions at 8%. We're going to come in at 6% for Reverb LP, and we believe that's not just about undercutting the competition. We think that increases the liquidity in a marketplace, because when fees are lower, then people buy and sell more because there's less of a tax on the transaction. So they have more money in their pockets, and they're less hesitant to sell online when fees go down. So that's the first thing, and we believe in that philosophically as a marketplace. Another pain point is just the user experience for buyers and sellers. So on Reverb LP, the seller experience is going to be painless. We're really focused on making sure that listing and selling a record is not a cumbersome process, to make sure that they have the ability to upload listings in minutes and get up and running without a lot of pain. We also have all of these tools that we've built out for Reverb that we're going to leverage for Reverb LP, sales dashboards, ability to print out a shipping label. Reverb Sites is a really cool product that allows stores and collectors to create their own branded website with Reverb LP powering it. So you could have dansrecordstore.com and it looks totally branded and looks like it's my shop, but it's powered by Reverb LP. And, a buying experience that's based on discovery, right? I think at the end of the day, this isn't about replacing record stores. We're all huge record store supporters and fans, and we want to figure out how to make the online experience as rich as the in-store experiences. So making sure that just like when you go into a record store and you find stuff you didn't know you needed, but you realize you need when you see it, that's really important. And, buyer-focused tools that allow a user to tailor that experience. So we have what we call the feed that allows you to go in and say, I'm interested in these records, I'm interested in these record labels, I'm interested in, these artists, and basically make your own online record store the way that you want to see it. So it's all about user experience, pricing, and focus on the things that excite people about buying and selling records.
I did mention the word discovery there because I recently read that Reverb LP aspires to be similar to eHarmony, but for matching buyers and sellers of records, which is an amazing idea. But can you tell me more about that and the technology behind making that possible?
Sure. So, I think matching humans to each other might actually be simpler than matching people to their music tastes. So we'll have to be judged on our results there in reality. But
how do you get the guilty pleasures in there? We've all got them.
Sure. Well, Spotify has the ability to go into private listening mode, right? So no one knows about your guilty pleasures. Yeah. First is that feed, right? The feed is about you just telling us what you want to see. And that gives us a really rich data set of understanding what you're interested in. We're not sitting there trying to guess based on just your browsing, right? Because if you're browsing and you buy that, I'm probably going to end up buying the Moana soundtrack for my 3-year-old daughter on Reverb LP at some point, but I would be really upset if it started recommending Disney soundtracks to me all over the place, right? And everyone's experienced that on Amazon or other websites where you buy a gift or you buy something that's sort of out of your norm and all of a sudden it takes over your recommendations, right? The feed lets us say, okay, this is what this person's really interested in. Let's try and build off of that. Then there's this aspect of human curation, which, like I mentioned before, is really, really important to us. Our goal isn't to just use algorithms to make all the recommendations. Our goal is to say, oh, you're interested in getting into reggae? Well, we have an expert who's curated our top picks for this genre. If you listen to these records and you like them, we can recommend you more of those types. But they're not just coming from collaborative filtering algorithms. They're coming from humans who know music and who will inject some sort of, serendipity into that, is the way I'd like to put it. Some of those algorithms can be kind of self-reinforcing, and without humans interjecting our humanity into the results, it can be kind of predictable and dull in some ways. So it's about the marriage of personalization technology and human recommendations.
Now, we are in a world of lists now, and I think it was filmmaker Cameron Crowe said a few years ago that if anyone went out and bought the top 50 albums or the best critically acclaimed albums of all time, you'd actually have the worst record collection out there because it doesn't have anything about you or your personality in there. So what I'm trying to get at here is I'm going to try and get out of you your guilty pleasure. Do you have one?
Oh, my guilty pleasure. I'm not guilty about anything I listen to. I think that's something that's more about your own security in who you are and where you come from. There's certainly plenty of music that I recognize is more about my own nostalgia than it is about the quality of the music. But I have a deep love for 90s R&B because I grew up listening to a lot of it. So I'm looking forward to buying Janet Jackson Rhythm Nation on Reverb LP. There's lots of music that maybe someone else would be guilty about that I don't know. Why bother? Life's too short, man.
Yeah,
listen to the music you love. Listen to what makes you happy. That's what I say.
Amen to that. Now, I know that creating engaging content such as demo videos and how-to articles is also a big part of Reverb's strategy. So will Reverb LP also have a large focus on content?
Yeah, we are. I think part of it is that curation, but there'll certainly be plenty of written content and video as well. We're still kind of ironing out exactly what the formats will be there. I'll tell you that we're not going to be in the business of writing record reviews. I think there's plenty of people out there who do that better than we ever could. So that's not really the type of content. We're going to be more about, trying to expose you to new things and trying to lend enough authority from people who you trust to say, okay, this is something I want to check out. So a good example is one of the first videos we just put out is Dweezil Zappa doing a guide of if you want to get into Frank Zappa's music. So if you want to get into Frank Zappa's music, that's a pretty good guide, right? I mean, he knows his music as well as anyone. So we're trying to make sure that those types of authorities are involved in our content so that you realize these are people I trust and voices I trust to help me navigate the incredibly diverse, wide world of music.
Now, Reverb LP is currently in open beta, but what additional features are in the works that you can share with us today?
Sure. So the feed feature is going to be launching in the next couple of weeks. That's really exciting, and that's going to really let people curate their own experience on the site. We're also going to be porting over a lot of our popular features from Reverb.com that aren't currently part of Reverb LP yet. So examples of that are the make an offer feature, which is hugely successful for us and allows people to counter offer and negotiate. That's coming very soon. And we'll also be porting over a price guide function, just like we have in Reverb. So those are some of the things on the way.
Now, I recently read that sales of vinyl records in 2016 reached a 25-year high, with more than 3.2 million LPs sold last year, I think, as well. But why do you think vinyl is having this resurgence now?
Well, I think part of it is cyclical, where it's, people of a certain age whose parents collected records, and there's this element of, they're having kids and they want to have that same experience for their children. But I also think there's a bit of a backlash against this notion that we can be, possessionless when it comes to these things that we actually care about, like music. And people are realizing that it's fun to have the physical connection with the record, the liner notes, the art. It's fun to go to record stores and discover new things when you're in new cities. It's fun to be able to take a chance on a piece of music, right? I mean, records are cool not only because there's interesting rare stuff or expensive stuff, but also because some of the best records in the world you can still buy for $5. You can go buy a copy of Thriller in most record stores in the country for under $10 and have one of the best pieces of music ever recorded in your hands. And I think people are realizing how much fun that is, and there's a social aspect, right, that's very different from anything online.
Oh, absolutely. And I got such fond memories of a childhood where the amount of hours I wasted in not wasted, but spent in record stores, and you'd pick something up entirely based on the album art, and you go up to the guy and ask him if he could put it on for you. Just fantastic. And it is like a lost art, isn't it? It's beautiful. So
it's a cultural institution. Record stores are cultural institutions. I really believe that. And they're cultural hubs. And people are just realizing that, if those close, then what is left in a city once the record stores and music venues close? It's not much.
No, completely agree. Well, a huge thanks for coming on today. But before I do let you go, can you just advise the listeners who want to check out Reverb LP or reach out to yourself or a member of your team for more info? How can they do that?
Sure. Reverb LP is at lp.reverb.com or reverb.com/LP, whichever you choose to remember. Anyone, if they're interested in learning more, can email me directly. My email is danm@reverb.com, and I love to hear from our customers. I love to hear from people who are interested in what we're doing or have suggestions or feedback. So bring it on. Let's talk.
Awesome. Well, a big thank you for coming on there. I think you hit the nail on the head a few moments ago when you said record stores are a real culture hub, and that's exactly what they are. And anything that keeps that alive has got to be a fantastic thing. So a big thank you for coming on today.
Thanks, Neil.
That reminds me, I need to get my hands on a Reverb t-shirt ASAP, which might sound a little crazy considering that my friends in the US are currently in a giant snow globe. So I also just want to give a big shout out over there to my US friends listening and hope you're all keeping safe and warm. Now, after recording the show, I did reveal my guilty pleasure and karaoke favourite. Can you guess what it is? And don't say Hunker Burning Love by Elvis, which is incidentally a great tune. And in fact, what is your guilty pleasure? And what is your favourite album cover? If you pop over to techblogwriter.co.uk, and if you're on a laptop or PC, you'll find a little widget there to record me a voicemail. So I want you to send me either an audio message or tweet, or even email to techblogwriter@outlook.com, because I want to find out what music you listen to and what your favourite album cover is. That's your homework for this weekend, kids, so don't let me down. But it's time for me to go now, so a big thanks to Dan for coming on the show, and even bigger thanks for you all listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.